Sup, you beautiful bastards. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, your daily dive into the news, and we have a lot to talk about today. But first, just to steal your attention for 30 to 60 seconds, I'm very excited to announce that not only is there a new drop today right now over at beautifulbastard.com, but also for the first 24 hours of the drop, all core T and Tank 3-packs will be 60% off. That includes all three different color combo 3-packs as well as the all black ones, which are all now back in stock. Also our great tees and tanks that have prints like this one, they have discounts as well, but not fucking 60%. Because that's insane. Y'all, if you haven't gotten something from us, I'd say in the last 3 to 6 months, you gotta try this. Both tanks and tees, they're a cotton spandex midweight. The fabric is comfy and breathable. You can dress it up or down. It has a 4-way stretch for optimal shape retention. It's pre-shrunk. It is durable, unlike that polyester bullshit. And a big part of all this is that we are size inclusive. We go from small to 5XL. So grab your size while you can. I 100% know you will love this. I'll link to beautifulbastard.com in the description, as well as I got a QR code on screen. But with that said, I got a big daily dive into the news for you, so let's just jump into it. The first thing that we have to talk about today is a situation around a guy you've probably never heard of called Normie, who if you haven't heard of or you didn't see, got banned for torturing himself for 11 straight days. Right, because you see, Normie, he spent 265 hours live streaming his attempt to break the record for consecutive days without sleeping, with him specifically trying to break Randy Gardner's 1964 record of 264 hours. So technically, there's another record of 453 hours and change, or about 18 days, that was set by Robert McDonald in 1986, and that's actually the one in the Guinness Book of World Records. But Normie said that McDonald used caffeine to set that record and that his goal was to break Gardner's unstimulated record. With this whole situation and the stream largely goes under the radar for the first 200 hours. So after that 200-hour mark, Normie starts going viral as his viewers start getting very concerned about his health. Right? People see that he's falling, he's stumbling, clearly delirious, he's fading in and out of consciousness.
Oh, ouch! You alright, buddy? What's the matter, buddy? You okay? You okay? Do you want to stand back up?
While his friends were keeping him awake, many viewers in the chat were demanding they just let him sleep, with people posting things on Twitter like, the people around him encouraging this need to be criminally investigated, considering sleep deprivation is literal torture and against the Geneva Convention. This is also insanely dangerous to promote, fucking insane. Right? And one of the biggest concerns that people had for Normie was the long-term side effects that this stunt could have, with people noting that sleep deprivation like this, it can cause serious damage to the brain. I mean, even Randy Gardner, the guy who set the previous record, said he suffered from unbearable insomnia for decades afterwards. In fact, this type of challenge can be so dangerous that the Guinness Book of World Records doesn't even monitor this record anymore, with people also getting so concerned about Normie that someone even called the cops, who ended up showing up at his house, with them also reportedly telling him to go to a doctor once he beat the record, but they also let him keep streaming. There was also a moment where Normie posted a photo of an ambulance outside his house on X saying, "You gotta be kidding me." Though seemingly it wasn't just people that were concerned. Eventually, the platforms themselves started to notice the danger here and they took action, which is why we saw with about 12 hours left until he broke the record, YouTube took down Normie's stream for violating community guidelines, with him also wiping any trace of it from his channel. So you then had Normie moving over to Kick, where he was met with the same pleas from viewers to stop this and just please go to sleep for his own well-being. And what we saw there is that shortly after he got the stream back up and running, Kick also took it down and banned him, which then led him to moving on to Rumble and asking Elon Musk to allow for streaming on X, saying, "I've been banned from every site because I stayed up past my bedtime." But with all this, it does appear that he did end up breaking the record for staying awake for nearly 265 hours straight, with him now just streaming himself sleeping. But with all that said, this is one of the few times where you see a stunt online and you kind of just hope that it's fake, because based off of past accounts of people trying stuff like this, it sounds like he may have set himself up for long-term damage. And it's unfortunately yet another example of people that are willing to hurt themselves for any kind of online notoriety. And in this specific case, what did you do it for? To be able to say you broke a record that's not even recognized? Cool story, bro. And then let's talk about it. There were some requests for it. Let's talk about some internet drama. Right? And at the center of the situation, you have creators Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield, right? They're the hosts of the Canceled podcast. And if you're familiar with this space, you might have seen that earlier this month, old tweets that Brooke posted between 2012 and 2015, they started going viral, with those including one where she defended George Zimmerman killing Trayvon Martin. There were also others with generally racist jokes and comments mocking black people's hair, others where it appears that she used a homophobic slur, but then all of that leading to her apologizing on TikTok.
I feel the same way about them that you do. I think they're so disturbing, they're wrong, they're horrible, and they're disgusting.
Then you had Brooke specifically addressing the post about Trayvon Martin, saying that she was raised by conservative grandparents who always had Fox News on, so that was all she knew when it came to politics when she was younger.
Sometimes you have these people that you put on a pedestal and you think everybody older than you is smarter than you and knows everything, and they do not. There are people in my life who I might have looked up to forever who I do not agree with. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry.
But that apology, it wasn't generally received well, with people thinking that she was passing the blame on and not owning up to her own actions. And so with that, she ended up posting a follow-up trying to take more accountability.
The tweets were racist. Okay, there's no getting around that. The fact of the matter is nobody forced me to tweet those things. I tweeted those things on my own, and the blame is on me.
And with all this, saying she knows that not everyone's going to forgive her, but she's going to do all the learning she can, and she later added that she's donating to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. But then after that, there was still a lot of controversy and criticism, which then seemingly prompted Tana to address the situation on yesterday's episode of the Canceled podcast.
And I've made it very clear to Brooke as well that I condemn her for these tweets, and they're fucking horrible, and I have no right to forgive her as a white person for the things that she said.
Tana also adding there that she didn't handle the situation well herself because she initially commented on Brooke's apology that they both grew up bad, but she now regrets that.
It's not enough to just write these things off as we grew up bad, and I think that I learned that now, and that shows me that I still have things to learn and unlearn.
Tana noting that she's made racist and hurtful jokes in her past and will always apologize, but she also knows some people probably don't want to hear it from her, but still saying she has grown, and that's why she wanted to talk about Brooke.
I'm hoping Brooke is taking the time right now to reflect and grow and learn in a lot of the ways that I did. When I told Brooke this the other day, I said, you have to make peace with the fact that there will be people that never forgive you, and this may recirculate for the rest of your life, and you have to be ready to be open and honest and talk about it.
With Tana then going on to say that she's donating the proceeds of that podcast episode as well as her TikTok creator fund to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. And as far as the public reaction there, if you look at the comments on the video, they are mixed. Some saying people need to allow other people to grow. Others are mad that Brooke's not the one saying all these things, saying that it should have been Brooke on the podcast to address the audience herself. Some on Twitter thinking that it looked like Tana was just throwing Brooke under the bus, even calling Tana a hypocrite. Though others then countering that, saying, no, this shows how much Tana has grown up. You know, with all that, I gotta ask, where do you land on this? Right, because as an outsider looking in here, I don't have a dog in this fight, and those who have watched me for a while know that I'm a big believer in that people can change. But I think where Brooke's gonna have a problem is with trust. And that's in part because of something she said in one of her videos as well as one of the previously deleted tweets. Right, because one of the big things she said in her video is, you know, when I went to college, all of a sudden I was introduced to so many different viewpoints. There was so much diversity. And with that saying,
I wrote my college thesis on racial disparities. So how things like socioeconomic standing, health, housing, income, and so many other things can be affected by your race. I didn't stop learning there, and I don't plan to stop learning about these issues ever.
But then the issue for a lot of people is going to be that she also tweeted in the past, I started faking liberal views when writing college papers, and it's so concerning how much my grades have improved since. And so you have a lot of people going, okay, so does that mean everything we're seeing now, is that just more faking? And fortunately or unfortunately for Brooke, whatever the truth may be, that is in the eye of the beholder. Or the people she's trying to apologize to now, their perception is their reality. So yeah, I gotta ask, especially if you're fans or former fans, what are your thoughts here? And then next up, let's talk about updates to that scary Taylor Swift situation in Vienna. Because the shows in the city got canceled after a potential terrorist attack was foiled, and when we talked about it last week, 2 arrests had already been made. But now a third person has been arrested, and the AP reporting that the suspect is an 18-year-old Iraqi citizen. An official saying that he had pledged an oath of allegiance to the Islamic State and was from the same social environment as the main suspect. You also had the Austrian Interior Minister saying he had been in contact with the main perpetrator but is not directly connected to the attack plan. With that arrest coming as investigators are reportedly really scrutinizing the networks of the suspect. But as all that is playing out, all eyes are currently on Taylor's London shows, especially because some of the fans who were supposed to see her in Austria are doing whatever they can to see the show at Wembley Stadium. But there's also, as there are people on the total opposite side of this right now who are trying to get rid of tickets because they no longer feel safe. With a number of fans saying their anxiety won't even let them step foot inside the stadium, so they're trying to get rid of their tickets. And while right now the show is set to kick off Thursday and you have many fans wondering if that'll change, you have city officials saying that the plan is to just have the shows. But this also is notably there are reports claiming security is getting beefed up. You have TMZ reporting that Wembley is using a private counterterrorism security firm. And this, yes, because of what happened in Vienna, but also because of ongoing riots and protests in the UK, which have already strained police in the country. And while Wembley is yet to really say anything specific about the shows, its page for the Eras Tour does say that no one is allowed to gather and stand outside the entrance of the stadium. Though notably, that statement has been there since at least June, according to Time magazine. But it's also understandable why that would be a rule, because, I mean, the Vienna attack, that would have allegedly targeted thousands of fans who stand outside of Taylor's shows. And then, so y'all get this, Ridge, a fantastic sponsor of the PDS, they're doing a massive sweepstakes where the winner can get a Hennessy Velociraptor gold-plated Cybertruck or $100,000 cash now through September 13th. And the best part? You can enter for free. Without spending $1, you can enter on their website for the chance to win. Ridge will even give you 4 times the entries if you purchase the Cyber Wallet or Hennessy specialty products using my link. And y'all, Ridge is the must-have wallet with RFID blocking, holding up to 12 cards, plus having room for cash, and it comes in over 30 colors and styles to choose from. Plus, I don't just promote them, I use them, right? This was my go-to, now I just switched to the Hennessy. And not to mention their sleek and durable key case holding up to 1 to 6 keys, and their air tags for those prone to misplace things. And to be really clear, there are a variety of ways to enter these sweepstakes, both free and through purchasing products. Purchasing through ridge.com/DeFranco will also earn you additional entries in the drawing. So what the heck are you waiting for? Just head on over to ridge.com/DeFranco, and remember, every dollar spent gains you an entry to win one of the prizes. Also, which one would you choose? The Hennessy Velociraptor gold-plated Cybertruck or $100,000 cash? Let me know in the comments. And then, who won the Olympics, right? They're over. Should be an easy thing to figure out, right? But it also depends on which numbers you care most about. For the most popular metric, it was a tie with both the United States and China clinching 40 gold medals in a rivalry that was neck and neck right up until the last day. With that being how almost everyone except the United States, including the official Olympics website, Google, and practically every non-American publication ranks the countries by total gold medals. But y'all, this is America. We do things different. We say, fuck the metric system, makes too much sense. We invade countries without UN approval. That's right, UN, you sit in that chair in the corner. We even write the date as month, day, year instead of day, month, year, which arguably makes more sense. Since when do we ever let being totally alone in something stop us from doing it? So when it comes to the Olympics, we count overall medals, including gold, silver, and bronze. Right, so what if Australia won the gold medal for the 100-meter backstroke? America, we won silver and bronze. Temporarily, we say, fuck a gold medal, we beat Australia 2-1. We essentially Eiffel Towered Australia on the podium, right? And so by that metric, we don't tie with China, we beat them as well. With the United States taking home 126 medals overall this year compared to China's 91. Though also, I will say, joking aside, if you tie on gold medals, it does make sense to go, oh, well, who won overall then? Right, at least as a tiebreaker. And with all this said, as I slowly come down from the overdose of patriotism the Olympics for some reason give me, to be fair, both sides of this ranking question, they have valid points. Right? Arguably, it doesn't make sense to completely discount silver and bronze medals since those represent real achievements. But it also doesn't make sense to just count all medals equally since some represent more achievement than others, which is also why some have come up with a system that weighs medals differently for each country's overall score. Though even there, I will note the US takes first place. But then others argue that whether you count gold medals, overall medals, or a weighted system, all those metrics unfairly favor countries with large populations and powerful economies. You know, like the US, China, and those in Western Europe. So some have actually proposed looking instead at each country's number of medals per capita. Though if you do that, the US drops to 47th place. But then all the top spots go to tiny island nations like Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia. And so there, one way to fix that is to limit the rankings to countries with a population of at least 1 million people. In which case, New Zealand actually takes the top spot. But then, you know, all those countries that fall below that threshold, they get arbitrarily excluded. Which is why instead, some Olympics nerds have turned to what The Guardian calls the Goldilocks model. Right? And so this would determine how many medals a country would be expected to win given its population size. Then it compares that to the actual number of medals won, and it uses an equation to calculate how improbable the difference is. Right? And so when you do that, Australia actually beats everyone else by far with a score of 41, with France and Britain coming behind at 32, followed by the Netherlands with 26, and the US in 5th place with 22. But then finally here, China, who remember was tied for first place, dropping to 80th place. But really, however you measure it, these 30,000-foot rankings, they obscure how different countries performed in different sports. Right? Because when you look at it, the US earned roughly half of all its overall medals and gold medals in just 2 arenas, swimming and track. Whereas countries like China, they excelled in diving, shooting, table tennis, and weightlifting. So I guess going back to the question of who won the Olympics, it kind of depends on your perspective, how you break it down, and what you care about. So for me, it's America. But also, I will say, right, this debate about ranking, it's not obviously the only controversy that people are talking about in the wake of this year's games. You know, one, you had Algerian boxer Imen Khaliv winning the gold medal in her fight against a Chinese opponent on Friday night, with her punching the air while the stadium roared, chanting her name. And this is while back in her home country, Algerians celebrated wildly in the streets. But this also, as some people, mainly conservatives, don't consider her victory legitimate because they believe she's either trans or intersex. And that, of course, because of unsubstantiated claims by the Russian-led International Boxing Association, which is banned from the Olympics, saying that tests showed she has XY chromosomes. So there we saw the International Olympic Committee standing by Khaliv, saying her gender is not in question. And actually at a news conference after Friday's fight, she stated, "I am a woman, I was born a woman and was raised a woman, and I compete as a woman. My message to the world, the whole world, is hold on to Olympic values and not bully people." But they're also adding about the International Boxing Association, "They hate me and I don't know why. I sent them a message with this gold medal and I say my dignity has been restored and my honor is above anything else." But then also, as far as controversies go, a lot of people have have been upset about what happened to U.S. gymnast Jordan Chiles. Because in a floor exercise, she scored 13.666, which put her in 5th place just behind the next 2 athletes' matching scores of 13.7. But notably, right after the scoring, her coach made an appeal and it was accepted. Because the coach argued that the judges had incorrectly valued the difficulty of the routine. So Chiles' score got bumped up 0.1, which bumped her to 3rd place, giving her the bronze medal. But then on Saturday, the Court of Arbitration for Sport voided that appeal, saying that it came 4 seconds beyond the 1-minute time limit for scoring inquiries. So as a result, Chiles would have to give back her medal. But then USA Gymnastics was like, fuck that. And they publicly disputed the court's claim on Sunday, with them saying that they submitted video evidence to the court that showed that Chiles' coach first appealed 13 seconds before the deadline. But then both the International Gymnastics Federation and the International Olympic Committee confirmed the ruling. So now you have the IOC working out a reallocation ceremony in which Chiles' medal will be given to a Romanian gymnast instead, with Chiles saying in an Instagram story that she's heartbroken and will take a break from social media for her mental health. But notably, this debate is not over because the USOPC could take it all the way to the Swiss Tribunal or the European Court of Human Rights. Though there, I mean, that could lead to a months or even years-long legal battle. But then finally, for our last controversy, of course, we have to talk about Rachel Gunn, most commonly now known by her nickname Ray Gunn. And that is because she's the woman that Australia chose to represent their country in the Olympics breakdancing competition, which notably this was the first year the breakdancing was included as an event. But depending on your perspective, Ray Gunn was either the best breakdancer at the Olympics or the absolute worst. Because not only did she not win a medal, she didn't even score a point. With that being because of her, we'll call it unique moves, which have been described as both hilarious and bizarre. With her spinning around on her head, throwing her arms in the air like a windmill, rolling around on her shoulders, lying on each side while reaching for her toes. And personally, my favorite thing, jumping around like a kangaroo. Now, all that said, as far as what she was thinking going into the event, she later explained to reporters, I was never going to beat these girls on what they do best, their power moves. What I bring is creativity. But there, we have seen a variety of reactions to her performance, with some, just outright mocking her, calling her unqualified and as Olympian, and saying things like, if this Ray Gunn lady turns out to be a comedian who somehow blagged her way through qualifiers and all the way to the Olympics and was bad on purpose, it will be one of the greatest bits ever achieved. You also had others agreeing that her performance was embarrassing, but they also sympathized with her, saying things like, my dad once took a day off to watch me miss 48 out of 50 free throws in a statewide Catholic free throw contest. I feel you, Ray Gunn. And then finally, a lot of people saw unique merit in what she did, with one person speaking for many when they wrote, I want Ray Gunn, the 36-year-old Australian breakdancer possessed by the spirit of Julia Stiles and Save the Last Dance, to know that I am now her biggest fan and she should never stop doing whatever it is she's trying to do. But then, as far as what Ray Gunn has had to say, she defended herself against the critics, telling ESPN, all of my moves are original. Creativity is really important to me. I go out there and I show my artistry. Sometimes it speaks to the judges and sometimes it doesn't. I do my thing and it represents art. That is what it is about. And apparently she has held on to that confidence legitimately, because she broke out her signature moves once again at the Olympics closing ceremony yesterday, with her fellow Olympians even cheering her on. But then switching gears, a lot of the Trump news in the next 12 to 24 hours, understandably, is going to be focused on whatever the hell happens with his interview with Elon Musk tonight. But for now, I really want to talk about the fact that the Trump campaign has reportedly been hacked by Iran. And then beyond that, we just got to get into how this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to foreign powers trying to fuck with the American election. But, to start with this Trump campaign hack, it all goes back to reporting from Politico this weekend, because the outlet revealed last month that they began receiving emails from an anonymous AOL user going by the name Robert. And Robert sent the outlet what appeared to be, and what we now know were really internal communications from a senior official in the Trump campaign. But of course, Robert, he wasn't elite. In fact, he actually may be part of an Iran-backed group known as Mint Sandstorm, a group known to target dissidents, journalists, researchers, and really whoever else the Iranian government has a problem with. And so with that, the bulk of what Robert sent Politico and also outlets like the Washington Post and the New York Times was a 271-page document about J.D. Vance. And in the document, some of Vance's past comments, including criticisms of Trump, were labeled as potential vulnerabilities. And that, was all stuff that anyone could have really found online, but it was organized in one massive file. And according to one of the people familiar with the matter, it was a preliminary version of Vance's vetting file, which is something that campaigns regularly put together about possible VP picks in order to discover any potentially embarrassing or damaging details from their past. But then also beyond that, Robert claimed to have access to additional information, including internal campaign emails and documents related to Trump's court cases, with other hackers also speculating that if Iran's involved here, they may have taken more files than what news organizations have already reported on. But there may be being plans to drop out other material to mainstream or less reputable news sites over time. But whatever the case, the Trump campaign started getting questions from news organizations about the Vance document. And then on top of that, Microsoft released a report on Friday saying saying they had discovered an attempt by Mint Sandstorm to break into the account of a high-ranking official on a U.S. presidential campaign. And while Microsoft there did not identify the campaign targeted by the email, the Trump campaign is now saying that it's them, with a spokesperson for the Trump campaign saying in a statement, "These documents were obtained illegally from foreign sources hostile to the United States, intended to interfere with the 2024 election and sow chaos through our democratic process." And then you also had Trump himself saying on Truth Social, "We were just informed by Microsoft Corporation that one of our many websites was hacked by the Iranian government. Never a nice thing to do." And adding, Iran and others will stop at nothing because our government is weak and ineffective, but it won't be for long. What Iran doesn't realize is that I will make the world a better and safer place, and that's good for them also. And as far as, why Iran wouldn't want Trump to be president, I mean, as president, he withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal, he reimposed economic sanctions on Iran, he ordered the killing of a top Iranian military commander in Iraq. And actually, we talked about this. You had U.S. officials warning about a potential Iranian assassination plot against Trump a few weeks ago. Though notably, that was unconnected to the attempt in Pennsylvania. And then also, last week, the DOJ charged someone for allegedly plotting assassination attempts against political figures in the U.S., including possibly Trump. Right? And so with all that, you have Trump and his supporters saying that Iran's apparent preference for a Democratic president is proof that his approach works. Though of course, that is up for debate, with others pointing out that his exit from the 2015 deal actually gave Iran an opening to rebuild its nuclear program. And then beyond that, a key thing is that Iran is just one player in all of this. Because although Iran's hacking operations have become more advanced and more aggressive since 2020, some former U.S. officials say they don't come close to Russia's capabilities. And notably, they're saying there that Russia might have also breached one or more campaigns by now. And of course, the evidence there suggests that if Russia had a preference in who wins in November, it would be Trump. Right? And so with all this, there's another big thing that a lot of people have been pointing out, and that is the apparent hypocrisy of the Trump campaign when it comes to foreign election interference. Because notably, you've got people like Chris Krebs, the founding head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, saying that Iran is replicating the 2016 Russian playbook. Back when Russia hacked the Clinton campaign and broke into DNC servers. And well, now the Trump campaign is saying that any media or news outlet reprinting documents or internal communications or doing the bidding of America's enemies. Back in 2016, Trump said that he hoped that Russian intelligence services had successfully hacked Hillary Clinton's email and encouraged them to publish whatever they may have stolen. Which is why you have folks like Democratic Representative Adam Schiff writing on X. In 2016, the Trump campaign welcomed Russian interference, took advantage of it, and then sought to deny it, much to the detriment of the country. And then adding, we should all condemn any foreign interference in our elections, no matter which party it harms or helps, Democrats or Republicans. With then Congressman Eric Swalwell putting it like this, saying, yes, Trump is the most despicable person ever to seek office. He also sought foreign hacking in a past election, but that doesn't mean America ever tolerates foreign interference. We then finally hear a spokesperson for the National Security Council saying that the Biden administration strongly condemns any foreign government or entity who attempts to interfere in our electoral process or seeks to undermine confidence in our democratic institution. But a key thing here is that with all this, many experts are saying to expect more hacks and expect more leaks as the election draws closer. So for now, we'll have to wait to see how things play out. And in the meantime, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts. And then, there's been a lot of fear about AI going into this presidential election. Right? What kind of stuff are we going to see get faked? How many people are going to believe it? And just yesterday, you had Donald Trump posting on his Truth Social account that Kamala Harris's campaign was lying about the size of its rallies by using AI. Right? And in particular, there's this photo from last week of Harris arriving in Michigan to a large crowd on the tarmac. However, you had Trump telling his followers it was fake. Writing, has anyone noticed that Kamala cheated at the airport? There was nobody at the plane and she AI'd it and showed a massive crowd of so-called followers, but they didn't exist. With him then pointing to a Twitter post that proved, I'm using air quotes here, that the crowds at Harris rallies were fake, such as the reflection in Air Force Two allegedly not showing the crowd. Also, just before continuing down this road, I need to stress that everything that he's talking about is false. He's either been misled or he knows that he is lying. You can decide for yourself which of the two things it is. I just wanted to stress this before continuing this story. Because you also had Trump adding that Harris was using AI at her speeches and that cheating is the only way Democrats win elections. With him ending that post, and the Dems are even worse at the ballot box. She should be disqualified because the creation of a fake image is election interference. Anyone who does that will cheat at anything. With him then, apparently not finished, posting another 2 times that everything about Kamala is fake and doubling down that there was no one there. But all of that then, funnily enough, offering all the thousands of people that attended that event to post their pictures and videos from it, which I imagine then actually put a bigger spotlight on the fact that you have Democrats hosting these massive rallies. But, notably, all of this that we're talking about with Trump, it happened after he complained to the press this weekend about the difference in his and Harris's rally sizes, with him telling reporters that nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me, even for some reason claiming that his event on January 6, 2021 was bigger than the one Martin Luther King Jr. had in his I Have a Dream speech. But to say it plainly, like everything that we've talked about Trump with this story, he is wrong about everything here. The crowd for the Martin Luther King Jr. speech, it completely dwarfed the January 6th crowd. And again, there is no serious proof that the Harris campaign's using AI to try and trick people about how many people are at the rallies, with photos from outlets like the Associated Press and Rolling Stone showing that the photo that Trump referenced was heavily edited with things like filters. And that's without mentioning the fact it is so easy to find video footage that was shot live at the event. You can clearly see the large crowd. And while outlets like the Washington Post have called him out and asked asked his campaign for a comment, so far they've been very silent about the issue. With also the Harris campaign mocking Trump on Twitter, writing, "This is an actual photo of a 15,000 person crowd for Harris Walls in Michigan. Trump has still not campaigned in a swing state in over a week. Low energy?" But then also, notably, others were taking this a little more serious, such as with senior advisor to the Kamala Harris campaign, David Plouffe, who wrote, "These are not conspiratorial rantings from the deepest recesses of the internet. The author could have the nuclear codes and be responsible for decisions that will affect us all for decades." And personally, I'll say I'm left thinking about a different version of something Donald Trump said. Remember, he said Harris should be disqualified because the creation of a fake image is election interference. Anyone who does that will cheat at anything. But instead, I think Trump has created a situation where a number of people are going to look at this and go, hey, if Trump is willing to lie and mislead people with something that is so easily disprovable, what else does, or has he lied about? But that, my friends, is where your Monday evening, Tuesday morning dive into the news is going to end. So just leave you with two last things. One, just a friendly reminder that those 3-packs over at beautifulbastard.com are only 60% off for the first 24 hours. So grab your size before they sell out. And remember, we go up to 5XL. And two, for everything news, I can already tell we're going to have a big show tomorrow. So you're not going to have to miss my annoying face for too long. I love you, faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.